Hello and welcome to a recording of information about a rhetoric class. I'm Pastor Dave Spots. I hope to be teaching and leading this rhetoric class that I've prepared for the students at Wittenberg Academy. I make the recordings available to other people as well. Now, since I am a very low-tech person at present, I have no idea if I pointed the camera at myself or not. But that's the way it goes, yes, thanks to my smartphone, which is smarter than I am. Study of rhetoric is our topic, and what we'll be doing is looking at the way people have made persuasive arguments through many, many years. Now, for this course, you're going to want some very special equipment, and I hope that you have access to all of the necessary equipment for success as a student. Let's see what you need to have. You need to have your stick-on mustache and your safety goggles and a hammer and some spray lubricant. No telling when that stuff might be useful, but putting all of that aside, let's see what is actually very likely to be useful. In this course, one of my big emphases is going to be the idea of pulling information out of a book. And you see I've got a tablet there because I'm cool that way. You might notice it's a really old tablet, but that's okay. I'm cool with old things too. Sometimes we might use an electronic book. Sometimes we might want to use our Kindle reader. Sometimes, lo and behold, we might actually use a book. Look at that, same basic format, no serious operating system upgrades needed for the last approximately 1900 years since they started deciding to stitch them together along this side instead of in a roll. Well, what I strongly recommend people do is spend some time as they're reading, pulling notes out, and not in the form of an outline, but, for instance, this way. See, this notebook, my daughter says that it's my brain. If I don't have this with me, she is certain I have lost my mind. But I have all kinds of useful things in this notebook. Campus ministry brochures, a name tag, some business cards, pencil, pen, tablet, paper. Now, what's up with this paper? Yeah, this looks like somebody's scrap paper. It's on the back of old stuff. And I will also keep, normally, my calendar in my notebook, in my brain. Well, as I do any reading, what I do is I excerpt some notes. Now, there are psychological studies that have been done about handwriting, and that not that my handwriting is impossible to read. It's moderately possible to read. Handwritten notes tend to be remembered better than non-handwritten notes. Typing is not as good a memory aid for most people as writing. And you'll notice here, I've written in paragraphs. And as I write, I do things like I stick in, if I have a quotation or simply a citation, that's the location in the electronic book I was reading. You see, sometimes I have a little wording change as I go, but usually nothing too serious, because I pause as I'm reading. See there, if I pull a quote, I want to give an exact citation to where it is, because that way I can use it later. Pulling effective notes is a real part of a recipe for success. Now, what do I do with those notes? I'm not sure how well this comes out on a recording. But here we go. Look, I even have a folder for book summaries. And what do I do here? Let's take a look at one of these and just see if we can see much of it. I have to zoom in a little bit. What I've done is I've taken my typewritten or my handwritten notes and I have transferred them into a document that I've saved. It's got a complete bibliographic reference, so I know what book it came from. It's got all of the little citations in it wherever I went, and that way we will be able to find again whatever information we need. I find this to be much more useful to me than any pile of notebooks or whatever. I can recall, oh, I think I read something about this. Now, where did I read it? And I can rather easily flip through several years of past notes until I find what I want. Now, this can be very useful when writing a research paper because let's imagine I want to make a paper about, say, church history, and I say, oh, well, let's see. All right, there's a church history book. There's a church history book. Let's see, any others here? I'm sure I have some others. I've spent quite a while reading systematic theology lately and commentary, but yeah, I could pull up whatever church history books I easily find and see what I can do with them. Say I'm interested in a particular time period, and this isn't my only folder I have going, but you can see as time goes on you build up quite a stock of information. Now, when I write up my summaries, usually they are just summaries. They don't have much of my opinion involved. And the reason for that is I don't necessarily want my opinion involved in the summary. Why? Well, later on, when I write a paper, I'm going to be taking those summary bits of information. I may even take extended quotes from them, and then I will add my opinion as I've assembled all the different bits of information. The art of rhetoric is really the idea of taking information, presenting it to other people in a fair and persuasive manner, and hoping that they will in fact end up agreeing with you. So what you want to do first is have good information. And the more good information you have, the better you will do with it. I hope you are equipped a little bit. Oh, what about, why did I show you that calendar? Another thing I will often do in my calendar, here, let's turn this around. This is a page inside my calendar. Oh, you see it's still got somebody's scrap paper on the back of it. But I find the loose leaf week at a glance format handy. Turns out, as a pastor, I end up preaching a lot of times. What does my calendar have? It has the assigned readings for the week. And so what will I do? The first part of preparation is to read the scriptures, read the passages carefully, and pull notes out about them. What observations can we make? Then how can we pull those observations together and we end up preaching a sermon? Organization is very handy. Ah, look at this. Where did I preach? There's where I preached. How much did I drive to get there? That much. And look at this. We've got a sermon title. I picked out a few hymns. Kind of handy to know that I can look back and find those if I want. Again, it's a matter of indexing information. I hope that'll be useful to you in whether in a rhetoric class or in some other area of life. Gathering and referencing information accurately is a very, very useful tool. Have a good time playing with the tools.